There are not many canvas top convertibles that you see going on the road, and those that you see are quite likely Porsches because the Boxster has dominated that category for a very long time. But Mercedes is also trying to play that game now, but with very different ammunition. And that ammunition comes in the shape of the E53 Cabrio that you see behind me. But there are a couple of very peculiar issues with this car, and one of them has to do with what this product essentially is all about, which is that of being a convertible. You see this flap over here, the trunk? This is all exposed wires and everything. For a Mercedes-Benz, just not right, I think. The whole experience of sitting in the captain's chair and having all the controls in your hands and right in front of you is all very familiar Mercedes affair. But of course, progress has always been a high point, and there are some great touches that Mercedes-AMG has given in this car as well. The steering wheel is a highlight, I think. Flat bottom, of course, fits the size of the vehicle very nicely. And there are two things that will grab your attention instantly when you start driving this car. And those two things are essentially these two round dials over here at the bottom of the steering wheel itself. One lets you control the drive mode, so you can toggle from comfort to sport, sport plus, or just get into your individual setting. And the other one is for the ferocity. Now, what makes this a joy giver is the engine to a certain extent. This is a 3-liter, 6-cylinder inline configuration. It makes about 435 horsepower and about 320 Newton meters or thereabouts. And this also has an EQ reserve, which essentially is a starter generator. And that gives you a momentary power boost of about 20-21 horsepower or thereabouts and 250 Newton meters. And yeah, knowing that you have that kind of torque reserve at your disposal, ready whenever you want it, is just so amazing. But what for me is even more enjoyable is the fact that this has a pretty balanced chassis. Usually whenever you have a convertible sports car or a grand touring car, the compromises are always in favor of comfort and style, because why not? It's really the handling department that suffers the most because of the compromises. But with this one, I'm very pleased to say this, that's not the case. I think there is, as I said, a great balance between ride quality and also handling. In fact, I think they have deliberately tuned this car in favor of handling slightly more than ride quality. And what makes it that style diva is the fact that this will turn into a topless model at the touch of this button. Now, a couple of things again with any convertible car is the fact that you have air buffeting, and for that Mercedes has given you two very smart solutions. One is a deflector right at the top, and also giving you a curtain at the back, and you operate it with the button which is placed right next to the center button, which essentially makes it go topless or bring its clothes back again. It's a moderately windy day today, and usually in such situations getting the audio feed on the mic is a little bit challenging, but I'm guaranteeing you that this solution, the buffeting solution with the deflector and the blocker at the back, it does make a lot of difference. Now, coming back to this engine, the 3-liter inline-six cylinder, it has a single big turbocharger that feeds the air into the combustion chambers, but that is also through the starter generator, and that element is mounted between the engine and the transmission. In terms of the way it drives, no complaints at all, because the power is plenty, the torque is very nice and strong all through the rev range. But then you get this feeling that this is not the full-blown AMG engine, because when we're talking about AMGs, it needs to be an AMG 63 bespoke hand-built engine. This is not hand-built. This is something that exists in the Mercedes universe, as your standard 3-liter inline-six cylinder engine, but for this application, it was sent out to Mercedes-AMG, and AMG, or the performance division of the brand, it fiddled around with the internals, changed the things, and then, of course, it has come back with more firepower. And you think, hey, you know what? It's going to be big, bulky, it's going to be floaty, it's going to be a little flawed here and there. But if you drive this car within the limits that it is designed for, it is absolutely fine. And you can really feel the essence of the MRA architecture that this car is built on. It is not an outright sports car. This one is designed to be a GT sports experience, and that's exactly what it is. It is meant to gobble up the miles when you go touring with friends. It is meant for cross-country driving and effortless cruising. That it does very, very well. And while I have been driving this car largely in sport mode, I've not really bothered with Sport Plus because that just is going to dial everything up to 11, make it unnecessarily uncomfortable. You can genuinely just poodle about in comfort and be very happy with the car. Right now, we have been driving in sport just because that exhaust is very, very entertaining. But the car dialed down in comfort is really, really pleasant. It's very nice. And it is exactly the kind of experience that you would want to have from a car of this sort. But more than anything else, this is also a luxury machine. And it needs to tick a lot of boxes when it comes to luxury features. It needs to have great seats, which it does. And why I have stopped on the side of the shoulder of the road is because now we will talk about a few things which are available as features on the inside. Seats, as I said, great highlight, very, very supportive, great big seats as well, very beautifully contoured, great cushioning. And yeah, the same cannot be said about the rear seats, but the fronts are really, really beautiful, especially when you extend the underthigh support. That's where you just feel very comfortable. Again, a system that we are very used to, we have come to appreciate it as well. Reasonably high on the touch response and a couple of very, very cool features. One is called the AMG Performance that lets you just gauge what your vehicle really is responding like. You have the engine, how many horsepower is it consuming, what is the oil temperature and stuff like that, what kind of torque levels is it driving at. And then you have, of course, a dynamic select as well, which you can configure according to your liking. But as I said, this is more a comfortable luxury grand touring machine, and that's where comfort is very important. So on that side, you have seat kinetics. It's about these small pulsations that you feel in the seats. And yeah, I think overall, this is fairly well kitted out. And what I really appreciate is the fact that you have physical buttons, still have physical buttons, that is. With the new EQ models, of course, it's a massive big screen with menus and sub-menus. With this one, for the entire HVAC system, you have physical buttons, and then you have some buttons at the bottom as well to control your infotainment, your vehicle modes and stuff like that. And then just below this toggle switch is a button which has an icon of a spring or a suspension spring. Press that and you can go from sport to the regular dial down comfort, and yeah, you can pretty much set up the springs just by pressing this one button. So to summarize, the E53 AMG Cabrio is a style icon in its segment. Something that we haven't really seen many of, and it really has no rival per se. The closest that you can get is the Porsche Boxster, but that's a very different kind of a car. This one is not a sports car. It is a long-legged GT, and at just munching down miles, as I said, this can be a fantastic partner. And the fact that you can customize it to your heart's content is just going to make this car even more special. The color combinations, the kind of things that you want on the inside is just going to add more and more drama. And then all that comes together with the fantastic calibration of the engine and the 9-speed gearbox, which just delivers a beautiful, beautiful experience. Would I have wanted a proper big muscle-oriented V8? Yes, that's the job of the AMG, the proper AMG, hand-built engine. But this is really not a watered-down experience at all. It's just that you know that AMGs are not about just fettling around with your standard petrol engines, and you want more and more drama out of the mechanical bit that hides under the bonnet. But just ignore that one reality and you will live with this car extremely happy. It is genuinely a very pleasing car to have. It's something that you would want to take out every time of the day. The ride is okay, the handling is genuinely exciting, and it just is a very good rounded product for what it is.